Ask the GMs, episode 27, Meet the Cast. Good evening, this is Zach from Ask the GMs, welcoming you to a fun podcast where we talk about RPGs and board games. Passing it on to Sean.
Hey there, I'm glad to be here. We're going to let everybody kind of get to know us. Whether they'll regret it or not, that's on them. Send it over to our.
Hey everybody, it's me again, and I hope everybody's having a great time. Let's see what everybody's stories lines up for how they get started in role playing. Passing it off to Lindsay.
Hey everybody, it's Lindsay. I'm here again. I'm excited to hear all of your stories, especially Sean's. I'm excited. I'll pass it over to Zach.
Thank you. And RC, you want to do our mighty shout out this week?
Huzzah! Let's do our regular shout out to Cape Fear Games. Really appreciate you guys. We're there all the time, playing tabletop games, board games, whatever we happen to be up to this week. It's nice to have a local game store to go to. So, yeah. Back to you.
Thank you, sir. And then, Pat developed this week's episode. He's currently busy with work, so he'll unfortunately not be able to join us. So we'll at least shout out Pat for helping us out. So some of our topics for Meet the Cast is just some softball questions, some, early questions just to have us break it down and talk about ourselves. So one of the first questions is, what are some of your earliest memories of RPGs and board games? How about you, Sean?
Well, that's going back a little bit in history there. I started off with the Basic and Expert set, edited by Tom Moldvay in 1981. 7th grade. I came into 7th grade armed and dangerous with my basic Dungeons and Dragons set and my Gamma World set. That was the second RPG that I Gamma. So that was 1981. In fact, it wouldn't be for a couple more years before MTV was not a pay-per-view channel kind of thing. You had to subscribe to MTV. That's how old with that.
And RC.
We kind of went over mine before, actually, in one of the first episodes, but I started playing D&D 3rd edition when I was like 8 years old. My dad and a lot of his friends and my mom, funnily enough, were all gotten together for a game. One of their players was out, and I was like, "Hey, is it cool if I make a character?" And like they helped me roll up a character real quick, and I just helped them through this dungeon where they were in a pyramid, and I was the one dwarf out of the party, and got 3 critical hits in my first game, so I was pretty happy about that. That's where it all started.
That's so cool.
What about you, Lindsay?
Well, I've said before, I mean, I didn't start playing tabletop RPGs until, about maybe 6 or 7 years ago. I knew of them growing up, but there weren't a lot of people around me who were playing them. I feel like, especially in the friends I had growing up early on in my childhood, I feel like there was still some of that kind of satanic panic kind of around at least that group of people. And I think early on in my childhood, my mom was a little more strict about the things that I read or watched, or she got over that pretty quickly later on. But when I got into like middle school and high school, she kind of got over that. But so I knew what it was. And I'm pretty sure that my brother, I don't know if he played D&D, but I know that he played a tabletop RPG at some point when he was in high school, which I'm sure my mom didn't know about. Because I found a couple of his miniatures once and he said that he had played. So I knew of it. I didn't get a chance to play it, but I know that I would have freaking loved it. But I did. I mean, I played board games with my family. We were always a board game family. Board games, card games, all that. We did that all the time. Especially me and my brother, we would play together all the time. I guess that's really, it was about, for tabletop RPGs, really started with D&D 5th edition, 5e, about 6 or 7 years ago. My other really any kind of RPG experience was with video games. Other than that, that's, growing up, I played video games. So, but other than that, that's about my earliest memories of any kind of RPG or board gaming sitch.
Excellent. Yeah, so for me, I moved around a lot as a little kid, like a lot. Like I don't think I stayed in the same home until I was about like 7 or 8. Like we moved like every year. We had like a Nintendo, so played some of those. We're talking like just Mario. Played a lot of Parcheesi, Rummy, and Monopoly. That's kind of where I got my board gaming start. Like Stratego, but I never had a copy, so I'd always have to like look around if a friend or a friend had it. And then Baldur's Gate 1 was my first like early intro to RPGs. And one thing nice about like those RPGs, like the manual in the book gave you like almost all the rules for second edition because it had like all the spells and classes. And then when I got into high school and there about then, you had to like know somebody because kind of like Lindsay, like one, I lived in the middle of nowhere, and two, like you had to know someone or know someone who knew someone to get to play.
There's not, it's
Wasn't talked about. And I grew up in an area where like you had to drive 90 miles to even get to a store that might sell one of the books. I didn't get a set of dice until I was in college.
Oh wow.
But I still like explored it a lot, and I had like a huge interest, and I still ran and played second edition when I could. But we're talking like a couple random weekends on a summer once. And other than that, I would like borrow dice whenever I could. Okay, RC, another opening question. If you had no monetary limit, what would your ideal play table look like?
Probably finished oak, cup holders, a fold-out tray for your crap so you can leave it there at the table. You want to leave your dice, you want to leave your character sheet, leave it at the damn table in the table. Probably enough seating for 6 or 7 people. Probably a slight inset to the table, one that already has a grid on it, so if I just want to drop crap in it, I can just be like, bam, done, I ain't gotta do shit. I ain't drawing nothing. But if I have stuff to drop in there to be like, yeah, that's there, it's there, done.
you just throw minis on the table like there.
Yep, figure it out.
I didn't like the grid. It's perfect. Will they change the grid size? No.
I mean, honestly, having like other grids that you could fit into it, so if you had a hex grid and you wanted to pop a hex grid into it, you could do that too. That'd be nice. Oak inlay table, cup holders, stuff for you to put your character sheets in there. Honestly, having character portfolios on the table would be pretty cool too, so you can just pop them out and be like, yeah, there it is. I don't have to go fishing around or get it out anywhere.
That's an actual pretty dope idea, actually.
But yeah, I mean, that's fine. What about you, Sean?
See, I have two different table ideas. One is if money was no issue, then I would own like everything that Dwarven Forge has ever made, as far as three-dimensional, you know, uh, models of dungeons and terrain, and castles and everything. I would just have out the wazoo type stuff. Hire people to professionally paint miniatures for me, kind of thing for that. But as far as just an RPG table kind of thing, I would say that at the head would be, of the table would be kind of the half moon cut out for the GM to be kind of almost set into the table with the players there. That way he has a full crescent shape and, built-in screen holders and stuff like that for the GM. Like you said, places for cup holders, things like that. These days, I would say probably also a digital screen for doing like battle mat type stuff, set into the table where you can just pull up, what you need map wise onto the table, almost like a VTT, but all in person as far as that one. Wouldn't have laptops and screens at the table for things like that, like some of the WotC stuff shows having everybody sitting around the table with their laptop in front of play D&D kind of thing. But yeah, I can see, like you said, the grid and stuff like that. Now, back in the day when we were first playing, everybody always used to talk about the idea of having like a headphone system, and so that the GM could like secretly talk to you about what was going on without having to take you aside or write you a note and stuff. He would have like a little flip thing where you could turn on your headphones, talk to you, or if you wanted to talk to another player privately, let the other player in on stuff. This is all pre-cell phone, I mean, we were still using rotary phones at this point, so and all our computers were monochrome screens. So technology wasn't what it is these days. where you can send a text message now. Yeah, I mean, I think a good sized table. Now we also talk about having a table able to seat 20 players. Everybody's dream, because at conventions it wasn't uncommon to have 8, 10 players, sometimes even 15 to 20 at a table.
Got it, Lindsay. So for your first outing as a game master, 20 players.
No, thank you. I'll cry.
Now, if they're all level 1, would you still consider it? And death is definitely an option.
Oh, well then, yeah, it's fine.
Players, roll dexterity as the person with the flamethrower comes in and barbecue.
Congratulations, some of you survived.
Some of the old timers talk about that one of the Gen Con that they had 3 game masters and 82 players to run.
That sounds like trying to reenact D-Day.
Yeah.
I bet it was a fucking meat grinder too. It was probably just like,
Yeah, this is like
out of it.
This is OD&D rules and stuff like that. So I mean, it was like 1975, 76 at like Gen Con 2 or 3.
Wow.
Or no, actually Gen Con predates D&D, so I think it would have been like Gen Con 8 or 9.
Get your D4 hit dice ready, wizard, because you're about to get your ass beat.
Yep.
I guess it wouldn't be bad, like, because you had to figure some of those early cons. That might have been someone's first exposure to that game. That still would have been also a grind. It's like,
Yeah,
I played for 5 minutes. What happened? No idea.
no idea. None.
Well, also, you and I have talked about that. It was so early on in the hobby, nobody knew what was the right balance of things either. There was no like, oh, well, what did you guys do? It's like, they're like, we haven't done it yet.
Yeah, we were literally in the Bronze Age of like RPGs. Like, we've discovered fire. That's about it.
I mean, come on, look at the original D&D. It's like 3 little tiny thin cardboard wrapped booklets. Your fighter has 1d6 plus 1 hit point. Your wizard has 1d6 hit points. Your cleric has 1d6 hit points. You don't even get ability bonus, except for like a con of 15 or higher gets you a plus 1 hit point. All weapons do a d6. They weren't even sure about using the d20 combat system at that point. They were still trying that out. See about using the chainmail combat system of man versus man, which is a 2d6 system. It was, it was the wild, wild west of RPGs. There were no rules. Everything flew. That's why you have guys like, oh yeah, and so-and-so played a young Balrog because we thought it would be cool.
I mean, I support that.
Well, that's how clerics got invented, is because one character started playing a vampire and got so powerful that they were like, we need something to counter that.
Yeah,
so
we need
they
a counterbalance.
They came up with the cleric class that could turn undead.
You know what we need? Some Jesus.
The little Jesus.
Keeps them demons away.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember the name of the vampire character. It was something cheesy like Lord Death or something like that.
Perfect.
And that was a Dave Arnson in Minneapolis.
Your character's Lord Death.
I was secretly hoping it was Rubelar.
Lorde Death. Lord Death.
But what's funny is we talked about it one time. RPGs, most of the RPG games that were invented early on were all invented like in the northern Midwest, Wisconsin, Michigan, Chicago area, Minneapolis, and such like that. And stuff. I mean, eventually it spread all over the country, but initially that's where the RPG stuff was concentrated. We were talking about that. Friends like, yeah, of course. Look at it. It snows so much there. There's nothing else to do during the winter except sit around a table and play a game.
You were lucky you could walk across the street to your neighbor's house and you're like, hey, Bob, you want to split some beers and play some games?
It's -5 outside with 12 inches of snow. Another 12 expected.
Honey, you can go shovel the driveway. It's like, yeah, but the snow is falling so fast. F that. I'm gonna move some army men around.
Yep.
Only ice fish so many times.
That too.
For my table, I'm gonna be the Debbie Downer. It's like, I have played on like unfinished doors. My limitations are: is it level? Do I have to not like? Do I have to lean over it? After that, I don't care. If I don't have to lean over it and it's level, I'll play on a rock. My bigger deal is the chair. The chair is going to be great.
Yeah.
Oh. Oh yeah, you need
What's,
like
what kind of chair though?
Big, comfy, rolly chair.
It
with
probably has to be
leather.
fabric.
We talking?
I
We
don't want
talking
leather.
leather? Yeah, yeah.
I sweat too much, man. I can't do leather. It's gotta be fabric.
Gotta be fabric. Okay.
No, I'm talking like a lazy boy recliner on like caster wheels where you can literally, maybe even motorized, where you can like up to the table and
Like a scooter
pop back
that you
your
can
feet.
control.
Yeah, a lazy boy scooter.
It's a lazy boy Segway, and I can
Yeah.
just
You can move up to the table, pop out your footrest, and kick back.
there you go.
And then I will open my mouth, and my players will put the cheese puffs in there, and I will say, "Jabo Wongo's no bata no good."
Pull out the gummy frog
Oh
Yep.
man.
and the cheese whiz. Fill your mouth with cheese.
But yeah, I'm not even joking. Like I used to play on like unfinished doors. Like and when I learned like 40K back in like 2004, like we would use like Bible hymnals and like poker chips for terrain.
That's amazing.
That's a good way to do it, though.
I love that you use hymnals. That's amazing.
And poker chips. We gotta combine the things that shouldn't be on the table together.
I love it.
Well, we used to use Bible pages to wrap musket shot in our reenactments back in 88, 89. Because that was actually historically what they did. It was a good source of paper.
The only other thing is, regardless of like how the table's built, if it's great, if it's not, if it's one, I want all my players to be able to sit around it, and two, I want everyone able to like to push their chair back and get up and move around easily. Because we've all played in those situations where it's like, okay, Phil's got to get up, so 4 other people have to get up and like ease their ways in to the point where like, let's just take a 10-minute break and I'll get a drink and we'll come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when you got somebody like myself that has a bladder for a hamster instead of a human bladder. And they're like, oh, I got to pee. Not fun to make everybody move.
I was gonna say, honestly, it's kind of a good thing to remember to take breaks too, especially with role-playing games, because like I sit down for a job all the time. Like whenever I come out to like play games with you guys, I don't mind sitting down, but eventually I catch myself doing the slouch, and I'm like, yeah, I gotta get up.
Well, it's
Oh, yeah.
also good because you can refresh your brain and come back and look at it and have it at a new angle.
Yeah.
True.
Because everybody's had, also, especially if you're coming to a game and you've been working all day and stuff like that, sometimes you show up and you're starting to get the nodsies, sitting there listening, especially if it's a part where like it's a big info dump or something. And you're like, what did you just say? I think I just lost 15 minutes because I zoned out.
I guess a table would be very similar to an amalgamation of all of these tables. Like I like the idea of having like an actual like digital screen inlaid in the table, but I also want the option of having an inlay on the table that I can put on top of that, and you'll have a grid or whatever that you could just throw minis on. Bam, throw minis on. I think
Magnetized minis so they pop up, Stan.
that would be awesome.
What are you talking about? You just have fishing lines, lower them from the ceiling. Ba, 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 ba,
Yep,
ba,
light
ba,
show.
Oh, have like a bag of them and just toss them out, but they're magnets, so as soon as the magnet hits the field, they suddenly pop to the upright position.
It's like Jumanji, the movie, when the pieces
Oh, yeah.
like
Yeah.
That's the visual I have. I also think like having maybe little inlaid dice trays to roll in, maybe that can
Ooh.
also have little tops when you're not rolling in the, you can just little tops that, are like you have the inlay and you have a top if you're not, rolling dice.
Yeah,
or
like you
anything.
could set your notebook there if you want to.
Yeah. You can just like anything that's modular or anything that would be cool. Like I think definitely cup holders.
I do have to like secretly put in, even though I said I'd play on like an unfinished door, I do need a dice tray. My roommate will roll anywhere that isn't in the dice tray and then still fail to hit the dice tray. So they'll constantly picking up dice off the floor. Like, and it's a small box and a table. How did you miss both of them?
Yeah. Sometimes
Well,
playing with my dice and I dropped them though. That's my fault.
see, as teenagers back in the 80s, one of our ideas also was that we all talked about was the idea of making an RPG RV that you could go around to all the conventions and just, drive around and show up, have all your gaming stuff and stuff. Because back then, I mean, you had 4 different Gen Cons every year.
Like an RPG party bus.
Yep.
That would be rad.
Okay, so what we're saying is real fancy table with built-in screen area and then built-in grid, maybe electronic screen in the bottom, maybe not, maybe built-in grid for everyone else, and then apparently I just want Jabba's palace.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just want the Rancor
it.
pit,
That's all you want.
Whoa! If I get Jabba's palace, the Rancor pit comes in there.
It's just,
Well,
it's like-
where you can
it's
drop
like a garage. It's like having a garage attached.
one of the Gregs that does nothing. You can just, have his feet on top of there.
No, he's the guy that's been raising the ring.
Yep. Like, oh, you're not doing anything? Fine. Plunk.
See, the problem with if you going back and watching Return, there were a lot of grates down there, so that's where all the dice are gonna end. I was like, I gotta go down there now. Damn it!
Well, that's what you got Gamorrean guards for. Come on.
Yeah, a couple pig guys can go down there and get it for you.
So just drop them down there. Hey, come back with dice. What if I don't come back? Well, Phil will go behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure
You
there's
don't-
plenty of them.
If you don't come back, Phil doesn't come back, then it's Bob's turn.
Or like Lindsay mentioned earlier, just in passing, we were talking about Klingons for a hot second. Just the Klingon way, it's like, you will die with honor.
We will toast your name.
And then this is more of either a lightning round or a lightning topic where we can talk about a lot of things. What are we excited to see in the future, and what would you like to see?
Just RPG wise?
Yep. I've got a couple if you want me to go first.
Yeah, you're more than welcome to, because I've just got something that I've been looking at recently, so I'm kind of I'm gonna leave that alone for now.
Okay. I have a smarmy first answer. I want the new edition of 5th edition to be out so I don't have to hear about it anymore. I know it's a real selfish pick. I hope it's fun and I hope it's good. I just don't want to hear about it.
Yep.
Done with the news.
Kind of like the election cycle. Just want it done. Just want it over
done.
with.
Yep.
Fast forward stuff like who wins? And okay, fast forward.
Yep. Exactly.
Then I have an easy follow-up. Just running Delta Green tomorrow. I'm excited for that.
Aw. I'm excited.
Well, we're happy to bring chaos into your life again, Zach.
That's
Every
true.
last
RC and
one of
I
us.
will be at the table. Too bad there's no pushing a Mythos roll in Delta Green.
Look, that's the easy thing about Delta Green. You just have to put the players in an area and then just maybe push a couple buttons and the story writes itself after a while.
You're in a super fun situation right now.
How many people are dead? We're gonna find out. I don't want
All
to.
of them.
We're still
All
gonna
of
find
them.
out.
All of them
Yeah.
except us, really. I think.
I mean, come on. RC and my character and Jess's character, I mean, we had fun with just one septic tank,
And a cabin full of vampires.
And
Well, that was
yeah,
a separate that was a separate session.
that was
wasn't
episode 2.
The first was the undead woman living in the septic tank.
That you were told to burn alive. He's like, let's go talk to her, let her out. That's fine.
I'm getting it hurt.
Whoa. I told them not to look in.
Hey, I was all for just filling it up with gas and lighting it on fire.
Well, either way, you got
Jess had to turn around and have morals, okay?
You're like, there's no morals in Delta Green.
at least you got all your steps in. From all
Oh,
that
yeah.
Sure did.
all that
Oh,
running
yeah.
away you
Yeah, I think what was it like? I ran 2.25 miles before I finally broke out of the fear effect of
Yeah.
encountering her.
Yeah, Lindsay, I don't think you've seen it happen in Delta Green, but when you flee through X number of rounds equal to your dex.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Well,
That character-
I think there's going to be a lot of fleeing happening the next game tomorrow.
Yeah, but you're on an island. There's only so far you can flee. Trust
That
me,
is
I've lived
very
on.
true.
I've
That is
lived.
very true.
I grew up on an island. eventually you hit water no matter what direction you
It's
go.
It's getting real Agatha Christie on this island.
And then
I'm
there
trying
were
to-
none.
It's getting very
And then there were none. There's an issue. There's a couple issues of Batman and some more stuff thrown in there too.
Yep.
yeah.
Batman.
Yeah, Batman.
Batman.
But yeah, my character ran, I think, that session, I think he ran more than I probably have run in the past 30 years.
Well, it's one of the things. Like if you translate it to any system, that's still a lot. Like you run away in D&D for the number of rounds equal to like your dex mod. It's like your dex score is like 18 rounds. Okay, we'll see you in 18 rounds.
And that's a movement and then a dash
Yeah.
in 6 seconds. Figure the math out.
Yeah.
As I tell my family, I'm like, if you ever see me running, just start running in the same direction I am, because I
That's what I
don't
say.
run.
If I'm running, run.
Yep.
Because something is not right.
Yeah, I follow the same rules. Like Zach's getting his rifle out. It's like, well, if Zach is like already like got his rifle out, there were some checks that were made before that even happened.
Like the bomb squad guy told us. He said, if you see the bomb squad guy and the dog running, haul ass the other direction away from them. If something bad is about to go down.
I have questions. Well, the questions are for being alive and later.
Yep.
Percy, how about a couple from you?
Recently discovered this RPG that's been out for a couple of years called Lancer, and I'm wanting to give it a go.
That's the mech one, right?
It's big fighting robots. Yeah.
The mech. What?
Fighting robots.
I love mechs.
Mega Man. I'll post a little video in here that I sent them the other day.
Yeah.
But I'm wanting to give that a shot. Like, I don't know who did the work on. There's a website you can go to for building your characters out called CompCon, and it essentially gives you a character sheet, and it gives you all the basic rules for the game. So if you want to see how something works, you can go in there and check it. It's fucking great. Works better than D&D
Cool.
Beyond.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Holy shit. That's dope.
Oh. Dope.
You can sign in and save your characters in there. It's fucking great.
But you think
cool.
about it, D&D Beyond, me with Windows 98 and Office 2000 could probably build a better system than Windows Beyond. But D&D Beyond.
To be fair, D&D Beyond's website isn't actually isn't very bad. It's probably not run the best way.
It's the way it functions.
Anything else, Percy?
Looking forward to tomorrow. I'm ready to continue Steve Burns' adventures as a Delta Green agent in his green sweater.
Burr, burr, burr.
Blue Skidoo, and you can too.
Wait, hold on. So is this before? or
No, this is
during
during.
his This is during his career.
On Blue's Clues, yeah.
On Blue's Clues. Okay.
He carries a squirt gun around filled with LSD.
Yeah,
Nice.
don't mention that you think that he's Steve from Blue's Clues because of the rest you get sprayed.
It's like I thought Steve went to college.
Well, not only that, it means you can't be a witness anymore. It's like, yeah, Grandma, Steve from Blue's Clues stole your car.
He blew Skidoo right out of there.
Oh,
Just got over there.
How about you, Sean?
Oh, let's see. What am I excited to see what Shadow Dark and Mothership will be like when they finally hit. Both of those are expected out this fall in print. Finally got all the final PDFs of everything. Shadow Dark's on time, but Mothership's like almost 2 years behind schedule. But excited for that. I am excited about and wanted to support, but it's not a good time for me financially, was Dolmenwood, an RPG that came out, which is kind of set in a mushroom-enhanced English folklore setting. It's
Yeah,
a pretty...
I remember you mentioning it several times.
Yeah, it's a pretty dope setting. But my thing is that, I could have maybe squeezed out a way to support it, but my one complaint is when games develop their setting too much, where there's no room for you to put your own stuff in. That was my one complaint with that. I'm overall excited.
Kind of a little bit like the One Ring, where like you can do a lot, but if you've read the Silmarillion, you only do so much.
Exactly. And, it's kind of a closed setting where it's like, if you step outside of the lore, you broke it. Kind of thing. Excited about, Delta Green and also the Mass game on Tuesdays also. Those have both been real enjoyable. I do think we need to, at some point, though, get something kind of fantasy, beat up things and take their treasure kind of thing going at some point, too.
How far away are we from Halloween? Because it would be pretty dope to do a Halloween game.
Would be fun. It's what September.
Yeah.
So we're in the perfect let's start planning now phase.
Let's see.
So how do you guys?
The 8th, we got 53 days before Halloween.
Just hear me out. We roll up a character that has a class, blah blah blah, whatever. But you dress up as a different class, and you try to act as that class whenever possible.
So are you saying like rogue playing monk?
Yes.
I want to play something with it needs that has 0 charisma and then dress as a bard.
like play a ukulele or something. Just be terrible at it too.
I'll bring my ukulele.
Only aim to do things that you're suck at, like specifically.
Yeah.
You're just terrible.
I'll tune it terribly.
So I should just dress like in a polo shirt and slacks, and as an adult, because I'm terrible at being an adult. What do you suck at? Living.
Just doing the thing.
Just existing. It's fine.
I mean, I squared the breathing in and out. It's everything else after that's pretty hard.
Yeah, that stuff sucks.
I keep getting the spoon stuck in my eye when I try to feed myself. One of the ADHD memes that I've seen for myself around is like, oh, I'm great at everything except what I need to live.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, Lindsay, what are you looking forward to?
Of course, I'm looking forward to tomorrow, like everyone else. But for, Delta Green, because I really love Delta Green. So I'm excited to keep playing that. I am excited about Pendragon. Eventually hopping into that. I've been trying to get myself to sit down with the starter set and sit down with the solo adventure and really get into it. Because I'm obsessed with Arthurian legend, so I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, I have the Pendragon starter set and the eventual full rules on my list, so we can just talk about it now. Like, super excited, mainly because Sean told me about it way before I even was certain this was coming out.
I just opening up the character sheets and really diving into it. I don't know. It's just, I think it's going to be interesting. It's very different. It just seems a little different than anything I've ever played before. So I'm really excited about it.
My favorite two things character-wise, there's a lot of things to love in that story set, but character-wise is, one, you get someone from basically Persia, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And two, one of the female knights is pretty much the bride. Like, if you look at the color layout and the descriptions, like, no, you're just playing Uma Thurman.
Yeah, you are. Yeah. It's so cool. It's cool. It's neat. I love it. I can't wait. I can't wait to get into that. Talking about Halloween, I was a while ago. I don't know if you guys have ever heard. It's not a dice-driven system. It's a game called Dread.
I'm very aware of it.
Yeah. It's something I've always wanted to try, just maybe with just try once or twice, just kind of come up with a scenario and kind of play around with that, because that seems like a fun, even if it's just for a one-shot fun, thing. I think that would be fun.
It has to be up there for most interesting using of another board game to use an RPG. The horror RPG. We play Jenga.
Yeah, it's you pull for Jenga when you want to do something of a certain degree. And if you knock it over, there are consequences.
Or you can do something awesome, but you have to knock it over and your character dies.
Yeah. There's different, right, because there's different levels of, Yep. No, that's something I've always wanted to try because it looks like fun. I really am excited about eventually playing Regency Cthulhu because it seems really fun. I know I created a character with you, Zach. I can't remember who else was there, but
a lot of it was my birthday.
Yeah. So I'm
Pride,
excited about
Prejudice, and Zombies.
Yeah. I'm excited about trying that. That seems like a whole lot of fun. And the character I made was, I can't remember now. She was a gambler, I think.
Yeah, I think you had like
she and her husband are gamblers, I think.
Yeah. You appear higher class than you actually are.
Yeah. And we're obviously we cheat. That was the whole, we're a team. But I'm excited about doing that eventually because that makes it was just fun. But yeah, and like I said, I'm very excited to keep playing Delta because I like it. I like it a lot.
I had a couple others in there. Their future releases look really good. God's Teeth, the cover looks horrifying. Like this weird nun looks like he's consuming someone's soul. Oh. And then I was just thinking about it recently because you're borrowing my copy of The Conspiracy. That was actually the first lore book I ever bought for an RPG. I just realized that. Because that book's all lore.
Huh.
It's great though. Like that lore book is probably better than any other like just flat lore book I've seen in an RPG.
Oh yeah, it's really good. It's chock full of things. So many things.
And then I'm going to echo Sean. How bombastic Egypt's going for Mask of Nyarlathotep. Lindsay can back it up. That chapter is like a fireworks display of just like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
It goes to 11, like real fast. Like you get there and you're like, okay. And Zach warned us, and he was like, it's gonna go into, and we were like, okay, it's fine. We're doing so great. And then
No, I flat out told everyone before they started that chapter, like, hey, there's a chair and someone died sitting in it.
The one thing is, Zach and I were talking about that our group has going for it with Egypt and Mask and stuff is we are not on their radar. We have kept our faces to
fairly well hidden.
Yep.
The important part of that statement is yet.
Yep. Oh, I understand that. But when you have a party where literally every character has stealth at a reasonable level, only one of us has psychology, but everybody has stealth. Like, what do? We sneak around a lot.
And then I have also, this is for future for the Saturday group, but Horror on the Orient Express. We've already done Masks, either some of us finishing it or some of us currently in it, but that's the other big one.
I would love to do that one. Yeah.
And then this is more of a future podcast episode, but just us talking in general. RuneQuest, getting to play it, getting to learn it more.
Yes.
Ian was talking to me, and he's like, "Yeah, this is like learning a college course." Like, yeah, it is. It's very cool, but like, it is daunting, and it's like Pendragon's a little daunting. Like RuneQuest is like, oh boy.
Yeah, Pendragon is a little like RuneQuest. Just talking about it with you guys, I'm like, oh man, this is going to be an endeavor, but it seems way worth it. Like, it seems super fun to me.
I think it will be. It's one of those games that I think it's going to have to take a few people to GM it, in the sense of, somebody runs an adventure, kind of thing, and then another person, is prepping an adventure to run, because is the amount of prep work you have to do if you're waiting for one GM to finish running one adventure and then, shift over and start running another, you run into that whole, like, well, I need time to prep up before I can run anything.
I also think it's one of those RPGs that's definitely super different than everything else. From early RPGs, we get a lot of D&D and a lot of similar D&D. There's a lot of D20 systems. And if you've played one of them, you can kind of fumble your way around. And even with just the Call of Cthulhu portion, there's a lot of D100 systems that are very similar. Like Warhammer Fantasy, you can definitely see its bones in Call of Cthulhu. But like RuneQuest is like in its own echelon. It's like, no, this is a very different game.
it's different in the sense of the combat is much deadlier, but it's basically still Call of Cthulhu in the sense of, you're rolling against your skill.
I meant more. I
100%.
meant more in terms of feeling. Like,
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, as far as lore and, flavor goes, there's nothing quite like it. Brian and I were talking that it would be cool to do. One idea that he and I had is to have somebody figure it out and start a regular RuneQuest campaign, and then have somebody start a second campaign so that you swap out, like I was saying, one after the other, but have the second campaign though be a duck campaign of just duck characters.
Darkwing Duck.
Yep.
Get
Kind of thing.
dangerous. No, I want to play as a duck. Like, that's not. That's what I want to play.
A bunch of ducks, one campaign, and then when the other GM, ready, you swap back over to your human characters, and then when that adventure runs down, you swap over to the duck adventure.
A bunch of ducks, one campaign.
The season of duck and the season of man.
All I know is if it's going to take my family 6 generations, I'm getting that bat. I'm going to carve my family name in that damn bat. I'm not going to kill the dumb thing. That thing has like 1 billion HP.
Yep. Kind of like Mommy Fortuna and the Last Unicorn. Oh, the harpy's gonna kill me, but she'll always remember.
Or even Hellboy getting Baba Yaga back real bad. It's like, she remember that forever.
Yep.
A couple other things for Call of Cthulhu. There's the new Arkham book that's definitely been not even kind of rumored. There's like a little prop for it, and their recent Kickstarter kind of like danced around it. There's also supposed to be a superhero book somewhere in development for Pulp. And I really hope they're going to really push the 30 superhero.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not against them doing Superman, but I really would prefer like 30 Superman. Where like, no, he can just jump real high.
Yeah.
Or even pre-Superman in the sense of like the Bat, and and the Green Hornet and the
Shadow, yeah, and Zorro and
the
Oh my God,
Phantom
Zorro.
and
the Phantom, yeah.
Captain Radio and stuff like that. Yeah. Buck Rogers even, or Dick Tracy.
Does anyone have anything to shout out RPG wise they're excited about?
Kind of hurt mine.
I'm just making sure no one else had on this topic. I did just remember one. The Horror on the Orient Express board game, but that's not coming out for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That looked good though, from the pictures from the convention.
Sounds like fun.
And then the last topic that Pat provided us, what do RPGs mean for you? I guess I'll lead this one off. For me, it's friends playing a game together. That's the initial part. And 2, it's the only games type or style I've ever played where it literally meant like limitless possibilities. Like you don't have to worry about, oh no, the computer can't handle that, or no one's designed that yet. You have enough patience with the GM or a fun enough group, you can get through it and do it.
Yeah. I'd have to agree with both of those completely.
Yeah.
And also, it's not a competition either. You're not like a lot of board games, you're all playing against each other, kind of thing. There are cooperative ones, but I'm just saying that in general, that was one of the shocking things to everybody also, was the fact that it's not a competition game. I remember as a kid, you'd come home and your parents would be like, well, did you win D&D? Like, no, it's not how the game works.
Some people may choose to play it that way. That's not how it works.
Well, Lindsay, did you summon Satan today? No, Mom, I didn't summon Satan.
No, Mom, I didn't
today.
summon Satan this time.
This
But,
time.
this time.
We did a
maybe
couple
next
weeks
time.
ago.
We tried. Okay, we tried. We didn't succeed.
No, we didn't summon Satan, Mom. Dad's still up north.
Look, we've already done it 7 times. We don't need to do it a 3rd time, Mom. It's
Yeah.
okay.
There are like rules about this. You have to be.
You can only make so many deals with the devil.
Yeah. I can sign that book only so many times.
You only
yeah.
have one soul to bid with,
Yeah, I got one soul. It's done.
Sold it, done, gone. I remember somebody said, I wish, you could sell your soul like you used to be able to sell your body to science, where, you go down to the university and sign the paperwork, say, okay, yeah, you can have my body. And then they give you so much money right up front. But the idea was when you're dead, they get your body in. So you'd wait a few months until you got, built up some money and go buy back the rights to your body. Kind of like selling
Your soul?
plasma. Yeah, but if you could do that with your soul, like, hey, Satan.
Well, plasma, it's just a little bit of your soul every time.
Yep.
I also want to call out that I was the only one in Ian's game not to sign that damn book.
That is true. I did sign that book.
I mean, you also killed a Hannah Tindalus, so
That's true. I did do that too.
never take that feather out of your cap. That is not an easy thing to kill.
Yeah. Yeah. When you throw a knife at something that fast. I don't think it's as fast as I threw you, though. I did throw pretty fast. Though.
Mach 4.4.
Yeah. Oh, man. Man, Pink Jean Grey was great.
I'm just glad that Ian didn't focus on the torque of that throw. It's like, well, the spaceship you hit didn't really react. It's like, I don't think you realize that the shipping ship, the amount of torque it's probably under, probably sunk immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess what RPGs, TTRPGs mean to me, I guess it's definitely sitting around and just having fun with your friends, but it's a certain way of sitting around and playing with your friends. It's unlike hanging out with your friends. It's unlike anything else. It's you're creating something together. You're telling a story together, which is one of the most unique and coolest things I've ever done in my life. I'm just it's hard to explain until you experience it. You can try to explain it, but until you actually do it and you have those moments, it's really, really special. And I'm someone who I've always liked telling stories. I am someone who thought I wanted to be an actor for a long time and things like that. So I like that kind of stuff. And there was a long time where I wasn't doing anything there were no creative outlets for me. And I was like, I'm just gonna drown here with no creative outlet. And this gives me a creative outlet. And not only is it a creative outlet, it's something I get to do with my friends. And that's the coolest thing in the world to me. That's just rad. So I'm very grateful that I get to do it with you guys.
I'd also say it's the great escape. You get to leave reality behind, all the problems, issues, especially back when I was 12 years old, first playing and stuff like that, middle school and stuff, which is a nightmare anyways, middle school is.
Ugh, yeah.
Just being able to escape on the weekends, with your friends into this world. And as Zach said, limitless possibilities. You can be something. As the joke also goes, sure, D&D's everybody's fantasy, Get to travel a lot, work a job, and make a real living. Get to, get a solid 8 hours sleep every night so you can recharge yourself.
It really is.
And you never wake up, you're just like, oh, I feel terrible, I slipped on my spine. D&D's like, no, you closed your eyes for 8 hours. You're perfectly fine.
You are perfectly fine when you wake up.
Yep.
You're all
especially
good.
After an ogre used you as a punching bag, you wake up the next morning like, yes, I'm fine now. And, I know I'm definitely at the age where, I sneeze and, it's like, oh, damn, there goes my sciatica. I'm not going to be able to walk without a cane for the next week.
Dude, I tried to get off the couch. Well, I got off the couch the other night. I was just laying down and I sat up and got off the couch. Normal, just stood right up. Pulled a muscle in my butt, no joke. Could not walk around. I was like, all Rhea heard was me in the living room, and all I said was, "Uh-oh." I had to hobble into the room. So yeah, no, I wish. And then I woke up and it still hurt. So I wish D&D rules applied to where my butt would have been fine the next day.
No, my roommate's girlfriend threw at her back just getting off the couch doing the same thing. What'd you do? I just got off the couch.
I just stood up.
Yep.
I stood the fuck up, and here I am.
I can remember pulling a muscle in my back sitting in a chair and bending over to pick up my pencil that I dropped, and it's like,
Oh God.
oh damn. Now I'm at that age where if I drop something on the floor, I look at it like, do I really do anymore? Or can I just kick you off to the side and forget you exist?
Now, Sean, does that mean when that happens, like a little prompt comes up? Would you like to save before making this difficult decision?
Well, I've reached the age where now, like, bending over to pick something up off the floor requires a saving throw. Oh damn! I failed. Yep. Okay, I'm gonna feel bad for the next 3 weeks. What happened to you? I was trying to pick up my remote off the floor.
Roll the one.
Yep.
I wish I had. I wish I had like D&D or something like that when I was in middle school and high school. Especially in middle school, it's horror show. I think that might have helped me at least a little bit.
Middle school is just nothing but uncontrolled hormones and attitude.
It's just rough.
It's a special kind of hell.
Yeah,
That's
it's just
why
like
teachers
weird
that
ages.
teach middle school, other teachers are like, oh, they teach middle school, and it's like, in the military, the guys all like, oh, those are the special forces guys. It's like, oh, those are the middle school teachers. They come in with like eye patches and scars on their face and armed to the nail. Yeah, my oldest son is a middle school teacher.
Oh wow.
Up in Springfield, Massachusetts, and he
A hero.
teaches special ed middle school. I'm like, dude,
Good for him.
that's like a double whammy.
Power
right
to
there.
him.
Yep.
Well, RC, not to forget you, but what do RPGs mean to you?
I mean, in the same vein for you guys, it's just a way to get the community together. Honestly, a lot of the ways that I interact with people, like friendship wise, I've just struggled with it for a really long time, and the best way that I tend to be able to do it is to get into an RPG. It's just letting this shit go that you're just constantly worried about, and just being able to be you at a table with your buddies. That's it.
Well, there's also kind of a community. It's like once you know somebody is an RPG player, it's like you have something to talk about, even if you have nothing else similar.
Yep.
It's like, because I remember one time I was working in an aircraft wire factory and found out that one of the other people with played D&D. So we would, just swap stories as we're standing there, loading machines and stuff like that, which sure beat the other guys that I worked with, having to listen to their drunken redneck fishing trips and hunting trips and, fights with their wives and stuff like that. It's like, oh my God, let me out of here, please.
Yeah, when I used to work retail, one of the guys in the back in the back room, he was a vendor, but he played Cyberpunk, and even though I knew nothing about Cyberpunk at the time, but hey, like we at least have a base language that we can both communicate in.
I mean, that's how you and I met. I mean, that's how you and I became friends, Zach. I mean, that's why I'm here.
The Jabawonga, the D20, the Wonga.
Yeah.
Yep.
We were working together, and we just I guess I had mentioned maybe, or someone had mentioned that I played, and so we started talking about it. And you were telling me about Call of Cthulhu, and here we are.
I did not know it somehow didn't click in my name. I did not know that Arkham Horror was originally a Chaosium game. I don't know how I didn't know
that.
I have here that I'll have to bring out sometime is Pacesetter Games, who made Chill, the original Chill game, which was kind of like the competitor with Call of Cthulhu back in the 80s. But I have their box board game, which it's basically like a fold-out piece of paper. There with cardboard kit, paper-thin cardboard kits. Dark Mansion, which
Dark
predates.
Mansion. Yeah.
And I have the original one from the 1985, like cardstock kits and fold-out paper board.
Well, yeah, Sandy Peterson, the designer of Call of Cthulhu, recently put out a video about him talking about they basically fired most of the staff. Like they let Steve Perrin go, which, by the way, that was a mistake. And they left all the staff go, and he's like the only person in like the warehouse, even though he's not like a warehouse like bonded person. So he's back there like shrink wrapping everything, like everything for the original Arkham Horror. And apparently, when he was doing it, he shrink wrapped a spider like into the box. And he's talking to the staff. He's like, "Do I just leave that in there?" It's like, hey, if it was any other game, we'd take it out. But Arkham Horror has that feeling, so leave the spider.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
He said it was like a big damn spider. Or he's a Mormon. He probably didn't say damn spider.
Yep.
Well, I want to thank everyone for joining us, and I hope you feel you got to know us better and got some cool topics that you can talk about with your friends or just talk about in general. And join us next week when we cover Masks of Nyarlathotep, England Breakdown. Thank you, and have a good evening.